I'll try running this rare one, but I better be careful it's not reflect. Hopefully not reflect. Was there a day when you realized streaming on YouTube could or did become a viable career? I don't know if it was like a single day. It was kind of more like a sliding scale, right? Like more and more you realize that that's gonna happen. But I did first think that, you know what, I could see doing this. God, I was literally saying I should make sure this is not early reflect first. Oh, I even looked at the early reflect mob. You think that would have reminded me? Oh my god, that's so stupid. That's so stupid. Oh my god, that's so stupid. I didn't even, like, you know what I didn't think about? So I thought, I need to check this as an early reflect. I thought, you know, I'll take a shot and we'll be okay, and then I'll be like, oh, it's reflect, I've got a dip. But I didn't like take the time to think that my Frostbolt's gonna hit so much shit that I'm gonna die. Like, what skill was I supposed to test early reflect with? Maybe like all the storms, I guess. Oh my god. Oh fuck. Well, time for a new build, I guess. So what did I lose there? I didn't really lose anything good, so we're okay there. There's some league stones, a little bit of currency, some like 5 link, an 8C 5 link. I didn't lose anything too good, so that's alright. G'day guys, ZiggyD here. So yes, first character down of the league. My Frostbolt Elementalist died at level 79. This wasn't too devastating a rip, really. A little embarrassing, sure, because I was like, I better check this does not reflect on this map, and then literally a second later I forgot and killed myself to reflect. So, a little embarrassing. But you know, you have those rips that are pretty devastating for whatever reason. You're really attached to the character, or you had a lot of currency invested in it. Neither is the case here. I hadn't invested a lot of currency into it at this point. I was still just using mostly self-found gear. I had only bought a 5 link that was pretty cheap. You know, I found a rhyme gaze, nothing really too valuable here, and it had produced me a bunch of currency. Like, I had several exalts in currency sitting in my stash that I was able to dedicate towards my next character, which is proving to be quite exciting. I'll show you guys soon. A Summon Raging Spirits Strength the zombie build, which is looking pretty nice. But I was somewhat happy with this character. I'll give you guys a look at it. I had some requests to show this character off, even though I died, so I probably won't be making a build guide on it because I won't be really taking it much further. But, you know, it was pretty fun to play and reasonably effective. It has pretty good clear speed, and once I got this kind of Flame Blast Rhyme Gaze setup going on, I ended up with pretty decent single target as well. But basically, I'm playing a full conversion Frostbolt setup here with the new Frostbolt Threshold Jewels, and essentially what that means is I'm converting Frostbolt from cold damage over to fire using Cold to Fire and Avatar of Fire, so dealing full fire damage, and getting that proliferation and conflux effect, proliferating shocks, chills, and ignites all around the place using the Elementalist nodes. And the projectile speed, coupled with the amount of projectiles we're firing, coupled with the proliferation effects of ignites, means that we get really nice clear speed on this. And this was a great farmer. Like, I leveled pretty quickly with this once I got to this like early endgame state. And basically the way I leveled this character prior to this was Freeze Pulse Fire Trap, into Frostbolt Ice Nova, into Vortex Flame Blast, and then back over to Frostbolt, and then Flame Blast added in as supplementary single target. So basically using that just for single target ignites, and no ignite there because I haven't quite stacked enough ignite chance yet, but once we do get that ignite, the Flame Blast will one-shot a lot of things, so the single target kind of made up for there, because I was finding that the Frostbolt, even though I'm not using LMP or GMP, right? Because I'm using the new gem that gives +2 projectiles, so 2 of these gives us 5 projectiles, so not losing any damage to LMP or GMP. Frostbolt damage just still not quite enough for single target at this point, so I don't know if it was eventually going to get there, but the Flame Blast setup in Rhyme Gaze is working really nicely, so I'll give you guys a look at that. Basically, I found this Rhyme Gaze, and this thing has been buffed recently. It now gives a level 20 concentrated effect in it, so this is a really good early endgame 5 link. So if you're going hybrid, like I am at the moment, or CI, like I was going to transition into, then this is quite a nice 5-link. So I got Flame Blast in here with Fire Pen, Faster Casting, and Controlled Destruction, and a level 20 Concentrated Effect. So that ends up being a pretty solid single target, like high damage single target setup in this point of endgame. And because this also got buffed in terms of its energy shield, I believe, now 273 energy shield, that's a pretty solid starter endgame helmet. So definitely keep an eye out for that if you're playing like an elemental spellcaster and you need a single target, or you just want like an early, potentially cheap 5-link. So that works quite nicely, and it allowed me to have, you know, the 2 different 5-link setups here. So Frostbolt, at the moment I'm using Frostbolt, Controlled Destruction, Cold to Fire, Faster Casting, and Soul Projectiles. This really needs to be fire penetration, and that'll probably help the single target a lot. But it's a little difficult to get 3 colors off early in the league when you don't have too many chromes, so I just wasn't able to do that, so I was just using Faster Casting for now. But this definitely should be fire penetration, and that would help a lot, because obviously dealing full fire damage with this, fire penetration is an immense damage boost. For single target, especially if, you know, high resistance single target mobs. So like it was the double resist rares and bosses that were being problematic with this, but the Flame Blast was taking care of those, so not too much problems there. So anything that was tougher, most rares Frostbolt does take out. It's only like the really highly resist ones, but if I can find Vol, I can kind of show you the setup there. So we're using Orb of Storms to proc Elemental Overload, and to curse enemies with flammability as well. That does help with single target. Vol should be somewhere around here. I'm going to cut to Vol, because I want to show you guys the single target setup in action. Alright, so here's Vol. So we just kind of drop this, I'll clear out the trash. We've got an Elemental Overload effect. We'll curse him, and one shot with a Flame Blast. So the single target on a Flame Blast in Rhyme Gaze is really, really nice. And, you know, with Elemental Overload and Flammability Curse and Ignite and potentially a shock from Elementalist, you know, you'll end up one-shotting a lot of bosses with that. And as that continued to grow, it's only level 18 at this point, as that continued to grow and we continued to get more fire damage scaling like this, and the rest of this cluster, then it was going to end up being some pretty sick ignites from that. And maybe eventually Frostbolt would have ended up being good enough single target, but, I mean, you could keep using Flame Blast for quite a long time. And this was working out reasonably well as a league starter. So I wouldn't like rate this build super highly. Like, I don't think it's as good a league starter as, you know, your Flame Blast Totems or your SRS or anything like that. Like, I've leveled again with SRS now on my second build, and that is way better as a league starter. Frostbolt's only proficient. Like, it's okay. It's like, probably give it like a 7 out of 10 based on what I've seen so far. Maybe it would increase in impressiveness as we continue to level it, but we'll never know unless you guys decide to make a similar build and carry it on yourself. So I'll give you guys a little bit more of a look at a few of the just specifics in case you want to build this character, and I will link the CI version of the tree down in the description below so that if you guys want to build it, you can build towards that. I was eventually heading towards CI. As you can see at the moment, I'm hybrid. I leveled with Life and Mind Over Matter. The new Mind Over Matter set up with Inspiration, this new cluster behind it, is so good. You just get so much mana. Getting this while leveling, so basically the way you're going to level most like witches and Templars and stuff now is you're going to rush towards Elemental Overload, same as always, and then rush towards Mind Over Matter. Solves your mana problems, gives you sick damage, and gives you a ton of extra survivability. You end up with like 500 to 1,000 unreserved mana easily while leveling. And that just gets added to your life pool, in addition to the fact that because you have so much mana, you have so much mana regen. You know, grabbing this quick recovery cluster just below it for the mana regen, these two here, so good, so juicy. So definitely very nice. You're going to see a lot of that on spellcaster leveling, and it's to the point now where even like CI builds are picking this up just for the mana, because Mind Over Matter doesn't work with CI. And I'm playing hybrid now as before I transition into CI, you know, starting to build up some energy shield, getting energy shield nodes, getting some energy shield gear. And the Mind Over Matter cluster still useful just for the mana, but also for like having several hundred unreserved mana just to give a little bit of extra survivability if my ES does drop. It certainly doesn't hurt. So basically, as we were going to continue leveling, and once I got some decent ES gear, basically at this point, like I'm high enough level to swap to CI, and just needed to get some better ES gear, right? Like 179 chest isn't going to cut it, obviously. But we were just going to drop the life nodes and pick up some extra ES nodes, go get CI, that sort of thing. So it wasn't too much to transition to that. But you'll be able to see the transition in the skill tree down in the description below. But this gives you an idea of the leveling tree, right? You know, picking up the life nodes through here, and in Templar, picking up those guys, picking up the shadow life nodes, and so on. And we just end up dropping that once we swap. So 2 spots for Frozen Trail, down here and here. Both of these work fine. There's plenty of int in here. And in some cases you might be like, oh, is there actually enough int here? But there's 5 int here and 5 int here. They're sneaky, so that actually means you can put an intelligence threshold jewel here as well, even though it doesn't look like it, because you're like 10, 20, 30. That's not enough, but there's another 10 just over here, so it's kind of sneaky. Good one to keep an eye out for. So as far as damage scaling goes, this is a cold to fire conversion setup that ends up focusing on ignites. So obviously, let me just go give you a look at Elementalist first. Shaper of Desolation, Beacon of Ruin, Legion of Primordial, run an ice golem and a fire golem, so you get that 80% total damage, as well as the fire golem buff effect, and the crit helps out with proccing Elemental Overload, and then get Paragon of Calamity to help with Reflect, which I didn't have yet. Might have saved me, maybe. But also for defenses, it's quite nice. And then damage scaling is through projectile damage a little bit, and mainly fire damage. You can get some cold damage, like you get like Frostwalker and stuff like that. And if you wanted to eventually go for a crit setup, things like Snowforged are really good. I was probably going to pick up Snowforged once I got CI, because it would just be those 4 points there, and it's pretty good because fire and cold damage, these kind of double nodes here, well, they kind of double dip. You scale the cold, then you scale the fire, then you scale the ignites. It's kind of like a triple dipping setup. It's kind of juicy. There's another juicy for the juicy counter. And then grabbing fire damage was the priority from there. So grabbing that elemental and fire damage, because that obviously double dips on that ignite. While double dipping is still a thing for this league, then it's still the most efficient way to scale, especially single target. So scaling that initial hit and then the ignite afterwards is the way to go. And that's how it was panning out. So pretty simple stuff. I don't think there's anything else to cover. Of course, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll hit you up in there. Keep an eye out for some upcoming content for the league. Legacy League has been pretty fun so far. I'll definitely talk more about it. I've been just streaming so much. I streamed like nearly all of the time of the past 2 days. Got a bit of sleep, but not too bad. So, obviously a little bit less videos in those first couple of days when I'm just going crazy streaming, but then following up with what I've learned and what's happened. But I wanted to drop in and give you guys this rip, showcase the first build that I played, and I'll follow up with the next build once it gets a little further along. Anyway, guys, that is going to be it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thank you very much for watching.